So, a number of things I'd like to cover off with you today regarding the red meat sector strategy. Firstly, the significance of the red meat sector to the New Zealand economy. Something that when we started this process we realised just that the significance of the sector, the scale of it, was being wasn't well understood. Certainly wasn't understood at the government level, and wasn't well understood even, I think, within our own sector. I'll touch a little bit on the strategy process that has been run, that ran from I think August of last year through until the launch of the strategy, which was just over 4 weeks ago in Wellington. Summarising the findings, and then perhaps more importantly the what happens now, because of course developing a strategy in and of itself doesn't deliver you very much. It gets you to a start line. Really, it's what you do once you leave the start line, and what we actually, as a sector, what we choose to do from here. The scale of this industry at $7.6 billion. That's when we combine meat, skins, wool, and byproducts together. Places it at either has been either first or second in New Zealand export earners for the last 100 years plus. Never been worse than second. $7.6 billion, a very significant contribution to the New Zealand economy, and this is something that government are now starting to pay real attention to. And it was surprising and perhaps a little bit disappointing to note that, you know, at senior levels within government there just wasn't the realisation of the significance of this sector, representing nearly 40% of agricultural exports. And we've got this comparison with dairy, where $7.6 billion of exports in the red meat sector, with $10 billion in the dairy sector. Now that doesn't take into account all of the offshore investments that dairy has, that it generates income from, but it just serves to illustrate the point that you know, we shouldn't drop our shoulders, and that it's reasonable for the red meat sector to stand up and look dairy in the eye also. So all of that leads and has led to a recognised need to develop an overarching strategy for the red meat sector. This was initiated by Beef and Lamb New Zealand in conjunction with the Meat Industry Association and supported by 2 government agencies, New Zealand Trade Enterprise and MAF. And at the outset, the vision for the strategy was to improve long-term profitability of all the participants in the red meat sector, enhancing reinvestment and therefore the sustainability of the industry. An enormous amount of data provided into this report, and a good proportion of it provided by processors, and we have to acknowledge the support of processors in providing very confidential and commercially sensitive data into Deloitte that allowed Deloitte to aggregate information around plant capacity, input pricing, throughput speeds. A lot of commercially sensitive information was provided to Deloitte. Now that information will never see the light of day at the individual company level, but what it did do was allow aggregate information to be looked at in a way that's never been done before. The process involved a significant number of detailed interviews. I'm not sure some of you may have been involved in the interview process. There was a consultation process where there were more than 1,000 farmers engaged with in a series of meetings throughout the country, where the themes that were coming from the work were road tested and refined before forming part of the findings that are in this final report. Now, there is a significant opportunity, especially as markets change and we see the opportunity in emerging markets, Asia, India, where the growing middle class and the demand for protein in those sort of non-traditional markets for us, and their affinity for New Zealand product does provide a real opportunity to tell that story and differentiate our beef and meat products. The opportunities for the sector are significant. It will remain important to New Zealand and can be significantly more important. Back to a fundamental driver of the economy. It's the behavioural, the informed, aligned behavioural change of all of the participants that can drive that. And there's no one model. I mean, we could look for a silver bullet. I don't know if you used the last one, but we've not seen one that looks remotely available for this sector, or probably for any other of our agricultural industries.